You're listening to the StudioPTBO podcast, where we talk all things marketing to help you build and grow your business online. Welcome to the latest episode. Welcome to the StudioPTBO podcast. We are back, and we're back at it again with another guest today. We're going back to back. Neil Morden, how are you doing, my friend?
Good, buddy. How are you? You're rocking the plaid now in this episode.
I know. We switched it up. It's almost like you came over, like you handed me your plaid, and I decided to put on the plaid. You know, I figured my hope in this was that you were going to wear plaid as well, but you disappointed me, and I was in a chipper mood, and now I'm kind of disappointed. But we're all wearing backward hats, so clearly we need a barber. So,
so Cody, when is the last time you and I saw each other in person?
Like 2 months ago, probably.
It's like I feel like I see your face every day, multiple times on Zoom calls and podcasts. I feel like I don't actually ever need to physically see you again. Is that okay?
I'm totally okay with that. You know?
I miss you, brother. I do miss you. Hopefully, you'll be back in the office soon. But
we'll get there.
Yeah, we have a special guest today on the show, all the way from Long Beach, California, and his name is not Aiden, even though he told us it was Aiden. All right. His name is Adam.
Right.
His name is Adam, and he runs the posterlist.com out of Long Beach, California. Ships his merch around the world, posters, t-shirts, hoodies, you name it. We had him on last year and talked about his journey, his entrepreneurial journey, but a lot's changed since then, and a pandemic hit. So, we wanted to have Adam on today to talk about how he's managed with his business through this, because, Adam, a lot of what Adam's business, and he can dive deeper into this, is really based around traveling to fairs and exhibitions and trade shows and whatnot to sell a lot of his merch. So, I want to talk to him about that today. I want to start by saying, Adam, I am so happy for your brother, you and Rochelle. She is cancer-free.
Yes, thank you.
That is amazing. I'm so happy for you.
Thanks, man.
She's battled cancer for years, and how long has it been, this battle? And
it's been basically about 2 years since, and so she's just on the tail end of it. She's doing her. She's got clear margins. She had a unilateral mastectomy, and so she's just on the tail end of doing her radiation, but she had clear margins post surgery, so that's cancer free. And we're over the moon. So she's got about another she's doing daily radiation, like low dose radiation, for about another 3.5 weeks, and then that's it.
Yeah, and Adam is Canadian, from Ottawa. I worked with him in Toronto for years, and but the insurance obviously doesn't cover all this, right? And so, go ahead, sorry. Yeah, and last year you started a GoFundMe type page, and a lot of your friends from around the world rallied behind you guys, and Tom Green, your good friend Tom Green, went on Big Brother wearing your merch, and just beautiful people, stepping up for you. And maybe just contextualize that a bit, how that came to be too.
Yeah, I mean the GoFundMe. I mean we put up a GoFundMe just because, again, I became an American citizen about 6 years ago, or almost 7 years ago, and so I was, I'm familiar with the the healthcare. We have insurance down here, but of course I'm used to the Canadian system. And there's high deductibles. And so we launched a GoFundMe. And, when you do these kind of things, like, you're not really certain what's going to happen, but we were just put our story out there. And, we were so thankful. Friends, people we didn't know, people who 9/10 of the people didn't even know Rochelle, which was really incredible. And it really, it made a huge difference. It certainly made a huge difference in terms of the treatment costs and everything, because cancer is so debilitating, not just the disease itself, but sort of the byproduct of all the things that it puts in your life. Your life just instantly becomes chaos. And, not to mention when you have an insurance, higher insurance costs, you really want to focus on treating the disease, not the financials of it. So to have that to sort of fall back on was incredible. It made all the difference.
Amazing, man. Yeah. Sorry, man. Go ahead, Cody.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, you and I got connected last year in in Long Beach, and like, like you've had quite the journey over the last year. Like us, like a lot of ups and downs. So, I'm really curious, like, I don't know if we asked this question on the last podcast we did with you, but like, how did you, maintain a positive mindset through all of this, and run your business, and like, how, like, a lot of people wouldn't be able to kind of get through this. And you kind of showed up daily and kept doing your thing. Like, maybe walk us through that.
Do you mean during the cancer time?
Yeah, like during
I mean, I think you almost have no choice, really, and I something that really works well for me is this was a 2-year journey, and dissecting it in small pieces. You can't get to the end really quickly. You have to sort of take everything day by day. And so I kind of applied the same thing with business. I mean, business is always ups and downs. I mean, you're having incredible days and you're always hustling, incredible days and low days. You just have to go in it optimistically, thinking that the next day is going to be better. You can't change what happened. You just can only kind of move forward and hope for more optimistic days. And I've always been an optimistic person. I try to sort of put as much positivity into things. On a personal level, I mean, I surf and I run and I try to stay quite active. All those things are mechanisms to keep your mind on track, and it was tough in the early days because, of course, I'm doing that for myself, and then I'm trying to do that for Rochelle, my wife, as well. I'm trying to keep her, motivated because she's not quite as optimistic as I am. And so to sort of keep her on that side of optimism, particularly with something that's so huge, cancer, that was a big thing, but we did it. You just take it in small chunks. I again applied that in every aspect of my life. It's always small chunks, and then before you know it, you've kind of accomplished, whatever goal you're trying to reach.
Yeah, and since I've known Adam, he has been really optimistic. Like, obviously, we have a lot of laughs. He's super funny, super self-deprecating. But like, he was my art director in Toronto back in the day, and I think you were way more optimistic than I was. I was going through, I don't know, I was cynicism, angst phase that lasted probably too long, but thankfully I got out of it. But yeah, I think that really helps. Obviously, mindset, like we talk to every entrepreneur that we have on the show, counts for so much, Adam? And it just, you build up your resilience, tolerance factor, and you feel like you can almost withstand anything. And that being said, how, on top of you dealing with that and running a business, and that's already a roller coaster journey, and then a pandemic hits, like, what did you think was going to happen, and what has happened out of this with your business?
Yeah, maybe you can, if I can hop in here before you do, maybe you can kind of contextualize, the poster list in case somebody didn't watch the podcast with you in the past.
Yeah, what it's about.
You were doing a lot of trade show type of things. So maybe you can just kind of contextualize that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So the poster list has been in California since officially doing business in California since 2010, and essentially, so we sell posters and T-shirts. And through the last 10 years, strong wholesale business and internet business. And then we do craft fairs and festivals and music festivals, direct, person to person type sales. So as this approached, I did shows up until the end of February, and it was on the radar. But I mean, here in the United States, when it kind of surfaced, really low numbers. We knew what was going on in China, but it's not that we didn't take it seriously, but, I was around for SARS, and Ebola, of course. And I kind of looked at it the same way. So I it was on the radar, but I didn't think it was going to be, it wasn't going to turn to anything that it turned into. So the end of February into the beginning of March, my last show I did was March 8th. And when I saw in San Francisco County that they were starting to close events with large gatherings about 4 or 5 days before, I knew that was going to happen here. I mean, it was just a matter of time. And so the last show was on a Sunday, I think March 8th. And by Wednesday, they stopped the shows. And then I think it was the following Thursday, our governor, Gavin Newsom, declared a stay-at-home order. So yeah, initially incredibly shocking. I mean, I saw it coming, but it's unprecedented. I don't even know how you really describe it. It's just sort of, okay, what now? You know? Yeah. And yeah, so I mean, over the last, you know, I guess 7 weeks, going into 8 weeks, it's definitely not the same feeling as when it first happened, because now it's like, okay, this is happening. And effectively, in terms of the show space, I'm pretty confident there won't be any shows in 2020 or any large gatherings. Yeah, so we're just trying to figure it out. I'm certainly not as shocked as I was in March. It's become the new normal. And also something kind of similarly to the last, you know, thing I was describing with cancer, the more you go through it, your ability to pivot or your resiliency sort of, you know, from past events or things you've gone through, or this adapting to this new normal, you just kind of figure it out.
So Adam, what has this look like for you then, this pivot or transition or tweak? Walk us through that. So a lot of your revenue was generated by going around, I don't know what percentage, but what have you done to adjust and how is it going?
Well, the percentage was generally, wholesale was probably about, I would say probably about 60%. I would say the last 40% were split between internet and shows. Okay, so wholesale is gone. We did have some POs, some purchase orders that we got paid for that were outstanding. Luckily, I honestly thought I was going to be eating that. Any upcoming POs from a lot of the chains we sell to down here, all basically canceled and or postponed, which I think the postponed really means canceled.
Yeah.
So that left the 20% web. So that's it, you know, so dove deeper into web, and that's all we've been doing, just diving deeper, you know, expanding with more time, you know, approaching all the retargeting methods that we're doing and going deeper with that, you know. That's the one thing about it, right? I mean, you know, if there's one good thing from this, there certainly is an abundance of time, you know, so you've got, I mean, we're never going to have this much time, I think, ever again, hopefully in our lifetime, you know, so really you're forced to kind of go that route. So we're doing a ton of online stuff, picked up a lot of business that way, creating new creative constantly, particularly like in the Instagram kind of stories area, a lot of video and Instagram stories. Like, again, a lot of retargeting to our existing people, a lot of retargeting to add to cart people. We've got our email list that we're doing. Yeah, we're doing as much as I can, basically. Doing masks, just started doing.
I saw that, day drinking and naps, masks.
There's actually, so the day drinking naps is kind of the big one, but we sell a lot, obviously, in Long Beach. So there's a few Long Beach ones that are going to go out, and just pivoting, you know, that's all you can do.
Yeah. So maybe Jairus is our producer. Maybe you can throw up the poster list at the bottom so people can go to there and get, you know, retargeted like the shit out of them. That would be always good. Yeah. You know, retargeting. So go to the posterlist.com and then you are going to get retargeted with content. And so you buy a day drinking and naps t-shirt. So
Thank you.
No problem. No problem. We, you know, we love to shout out. I love the fact that, you know, you guys are going even harder online. We are big proponents of that. I'm really curious to know, Adam, when it comes to, you know, advice you would have for entrepreneurs that, again, like, because events were such a big proponent and a big element specifically for your business, what advice would you have for entrepreneurs that are, you know, maybe a little bit scared to pivot and a little bit scared to reposition their offer? You know, what advice would you have for them?
You don't really have much choice. I mean, pretty much. I mean, I think ultimately it's the landscape has just changed. I mean, you know, in a weird way, again, like, you know, I've always kind of wondered, I mean, you know, when you're doing a show circuit, there's a huge amount. The best part is selling and meeting the people. The hardest part is you're loading your truck all the time, re-inventorying all the time. You're up at the crack of dawn, all that kind of stuff. The best part is meeting the people. I've always kind of wondered, and you know, because web pre-pandemic has always been the last element in our business. I've always kind of thought, wow, if I could put more energy into web, maybe I can eliminate doing shows, you know? And so now we're in a situation where this is like a real-time acid test for that. So, and it's been sort of paying off. Yeah, so to give advice, I just think you really have no choice. I mean, I know a lot of people who are in the festival circuit that don't really have an online presence, and yeah, they're hurting. Definitely hurting. And I mean, I think this exemplifies more so than ever. I think you need to have multiple income streams. You can't be dependent on an independent income stream. Particularly, obviously now I have one income stream, but I think you have to set up that if something does happen, you're able to kind of bring in money essentially.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
And you can't wait it out either. It's like, we see business owners are like, okay, this is gonna, we're gonna come out of this the next few months. It's gonna go completely back to normal. There's no guarantee of that. This could be years, right? This could be years of a new normal that people's buying habits, they'll never go back to the way they were shopping in a lot of ways. So, again, to your point, like you're basically fucked if you don't, right? If you don't make that pivot, if you're paralyzed by inaction and fear, then you really are dead. Because, for instance, in Los Angeles, I saw on CNN last night, it's in LA County, the stay-at-home order could go on till August. So, and that's even if another wave doesn't hit, right? So this is the new normal, right, Adam? This could be yours.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. There's a couple of things with that August thing from Mayor Garcetti. So the public health officer in LA County made that announcement. Like right now, we're through phase 2, and we're going into phase hopefully 3 and 4. 4 being essentially more or less back to normal, still with masks, but stuff is opening up. So even though it's a stay-home order, like I mean, for example, even with the wholesale clients, we're starting to get wholesale stuff in because it's curbside pickup and some stores are opening up. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm resigned to the fact that it's going to be a long time. But it's a strange kind of like juxtaposition. There is a stay-home order, and like I'm kind of surfing daily, and there's protests and there's tons of people out. It's sort of this crazy thing is kind of going on, but at the same time, life is happening at the same time, albeit with masks. It's really strange, So when I heard the thing with the stay-at-home order from Garcetti, if that actually goes into effect until August, it didn't really faze me very much because we're in a deep stay-at-home order right now. I mean, we're not obviously confined to our house or anything like that. So I don't know, but yeah, it's gonna be a long time. So yeah, no, I'm not expecting any events for the rest of the year.
Is this teaching you, Adam? If this works, like you're doing, pivoting harder online, could this become the new way of doing business, even if it does go back to the old way again? In 2021, like, can you see yourself? Sure. Yeah, like you're fine with that, not resigning yourself to that, but in fact, at some level, it's empowering you to realize you could be home more, just selling from the internet, right?
Totally. I mean, the other thing that's kind of interesting too is for a lot of these shows you do, I mean, pretty much like the show circuit, you're working at least 2 shows a weekend, if not more. And so a lot of the times when you're booking out the cost for these shows, you're paying in advance, hundreds of dollars months in advance, and you don't see that return for sometimes like 3 or 4 or 5 months, depending on how far you're booking out the show, right? So one thing that's kind of interesting right now, because we're just doing online sales, we're spending money on the inventory for our online sales, but like when I look at my bank account, like we're doing fine, and we're not spending any money on booth fees, which for someone who's been doing shows for 10 years, it's kind of refreshing actually, like not to be spending thousands of bucks and like, like I got to pay $1,500 for a show that's not going to happen until September. You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of digging that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. You make a good point about like being able to see like ROI in your business faster. And, online is just such an interesting spot that, a lot of people are being forced into. And I'm really curious, Adam, like, specifically as you were building the poster list, like it's obviously changed over the how many years has the poster list been a thing?
10 years actually this month in California.
10 years in California. So like, maybe like walk us through the genesis of the company, like in regards to like where it started, Neil talked a little bit about Tom Green in the past. Like, how did it get to where it is today, and what's your North Star? Like, where do you want to take it?
Well, I mean, the quick synopsis: from 2010 to 2011, we're just selling posters, mostly doing street fairs. 2011 all the way to 2017, we pivoted into doing apparel as well as posters. And by doing that, we did twice yearly trade show in Las Vegas, Magic, which is essentially the worldwide apparel show for buyers. Like, and we've sold to Nordstrom and Urban Outfitters and chains like that. That kind of brought us to where we are in 2015, 2016 down here in the United States. The retail climate, at least the mall climate, was not doing so great. And so that affected people like me. So around 2015, 2016 for apparel, which is a very small margin space, we had to pivot a little bit. And we weren't, I would say probably 2014, 2015 were our best years effectively, if that makes sense. So the last 5 years, really, we've just been trying to make up the difference that we kind of lost with the mall space kind of declining. So, the North Star has always been just put out good stuff, good products that people like and make an honest living. Ironically, from what's going on with the pandemic, I've pivoted so many times because of economic climate, retail climate, buyers changing at different times, having to make these changes. This doesn't seem too unusual. So, I mean, honestly, I'm just trying to, I'm living in California. I surf. I'm happy with my life. I'm not looking to be like a $10 million company or anything. That's not really my North Star. My North Star is just simply happiness, and I am happy. And I think we've achieved all that. And I don't really have a desire to be a huge company. I just want to continue what we're doing. That's it. I mean,
I would say based on the Adam I knew in Toronto, you lived out your North Star, because you used to tell me, I want to be in LA, and I want to live there someday, and I want to surf, and I'd be happy if I can have a business there. And you were never a materialistic guy. It was never about the money for you. It was about happiness and gratitude and having fun and culture and street culture and all that, right? So
yeah, I agree. I mean, you mentioned Tom Green. Like, Tom Green is a really old friend of mine, and he's helped me personally so much. He's helped the poster list so much. He's someone who's obviously making a significant amount of money, but I mean, he's still the same fundamental person I've known forever. I mean, he still loves skateboarding. He still loves like a DIY type ethic, despite the fact, and he sort of deals with the Hollywood machine. Money doesn't really shape me. I like a simplistic kind of life. And the older I get, I think the more simplistic in terms of what kind of material goods like weigh me down, I want to get rid of. You know what I mean? I'm married. I have a couple dogs. I surf. We bought a house 3 years ago in California, which is a dream for me. That's it. That's it.
And you got Vans.
And I got Vans. It's so funny, Neil. There's a running joke. Neil and I used to wear. Do you still wear New Balance?
I got them on right now.
Oh my God! Look at that. So we used to always wear New Balance all the time, and so I literally, Neil, I ran out of my Vans died a little while back, and I'm in the midst of trying to get some more Vans, and I kept like 3 pairs of New Balance from that whole era at Toronto era, and honest to God, I was wearing New Balance that you would have seen easily 13 years ago around Long Beach. And I gotta say, I really like them.
Well, they're back in style, that retro look, right? I guess it never went away.
But I'm shrinking a little bit as I get old in my height. I'm getting a little bit, and so with the New Balance, they've got that kind of the raised sole a little bit. So it gives me about 2 or 3 inches from what I lost in my height. Perfect.
A little bit of pep in your step. I love it. Yeah, one thing before we wrap up, I want to kind of call out Neil. I don't think Neil's ever actually been to California yet.
It's so upsetting.
It's so upsetting. I'm gonna call you out before we end this podcast.
Well, actually, the plan was to go this year. That was the plan, and that's not going to happen now. But that we had talked about it seriously. I was going to go this year and hang out with Adam, and go to a conference with you, Cody. And it will happen. It will happen in 2021. Like I'm supposed to be in Nashville in September, and there's no way it's going to happen. Like I'm just waiting for the cancellation.
I was supposed to be in LA in March, and obviously that didn't happen either. So
I do have to ask you, Adam, because I know you're always thoughtful about social media, and I see that you're dabbling. You're going harder at TikTok, and I'm a huge proponent of TikTok. Like I'm going real hard at it now, because I know the organic reach is going to end one day. So I'm going all in now, and hit 4,000 followers earlier today. But what is your strategy with TikTok, Adam, if any? And what is your hopes with that platform?
Well, I mean, I have a colleague who's had this similar amount of, he was an early adopter, and he's gotten quite a bit of growth on it. So my biggest thing is just to be consistent in posting. My biggest problem, I mean, I think Instagram has always been my go-to. I'm trying to be more consistent and develop content with TikTok on the daily. I want to do stuff. I'm so fine with making fun of myself and all those things. I don't see myself doing a lot of dancing, but I definitely want to put an approach on it, and really more importantly, rather than overthink it, I just want to post daily. That's basically what I'm trying to do, and just grow it that way. I mean, I've been really, I guess, a little bit negligent with posting on it, and that kind of shows. So I'm just going to do more of that.
Yeah, and it does feel like you on it. When I like your TikTok game. It's authentic, and you're not a dancing type guy. Like you were more like Punch Buggy was not that vibe, right? So
I think the authenticity is really important. You know what I mean? Like I can. It feels weird to do something like that for me. Not because I'm afraid of making fun of myself or anything like that. It doesn't feel like me. If that makes sense.
I totally understand that there, and I think that that's a key takeaway for any business owner that is looking to create content for their pages. Is it has to be authentic to you. Like the reason that we do what we do, like in regards to our videos, in regards to like interviewing, is because it comes naturally. Like I have a very hard time on TikTok as a platform, because again, like all I do is take the content that we post on Instagram and I post it on TikTok, and I'm okay with that. And that's my strategy for now anyways, because of the fact that it's just true to who you are. And I think that's a massive key takeaway for any business owner, any entrepreneur listening to this, is like, just be true to who you are, speak your truth, like stay in your lane. And yeah, I think it's a key takeaway.
Can I ask you one thing in regards to Canada? Is Canada or is the government doing any kind of stimulus as it relates to small business?
You want to answer that, or you want to answer that?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Trudeau's been amazing. Like,
good. My parents, of course, Neil, are both in Canada.
Yeah,
and I know, and I'm familiar what's going on with, what the residents are getting in terms of the stimulus. But I didn't know anything about what was going on from a business end. So that's good.
I think they've been. I would give them a 9 out of 10, Adam. A lot of people are like, "Oh, why aren't you doing this or that?" Well, no one knew a pandemic was coming. No one knew there was going to be a depression, and this all happened in weeks. So for them to do what they're doing in real time, of course there's hiccups, and not everything's perfect. There is no blueprint for this. So, but yes, all in all, I think
there's some good, one of our clients, Bob Govro, is posting a lot of stuff, like a lot of information about Canadian stimulus, and there's different government loans that essentially are like 25% are forgivable. There's so many different there's a lot of availability out there. Obviously you need to keep your, based on what Bob was saying to us, he was on our show a little while ago, your financial numbers have to be up to date. So there's some things that you have to do on the back end in order to apply for a lot of the stimulus that the government's giving. But I would say that they're doing a pretty good job, in regards to rolling things out and then giving information. But again, like Neil said, no one saw this coming. So it's been really interesting. I feel like and like maybe you can tell us specifically with the US, like what's happening there, because I feel like we're hearing stuff and then they're announcing things and then we're trying to figure out on the back end how to apply for the stuff. So maybe you take us through what's happening kind of in the US, like what's happening for small business there.
Well, I received the CARES Pandemic Act passed like at the end of March, and that one part of the CARES Pandemic Act was just for the residents in the United States to get each household gets $1,200, or each person gets $1,200. Household gets $2,400, $500 per dependent. From the business aspect of it, so the Small Business Association, they offered it was an emergency grant, an EIDL grant, which originally started, it was going to be $10,000 per business. Like you would automatically get $10,000, but because of the amount of people that applied for it so quickly, that got reduced to $1,000 per employee. So I got $2,000. I actually just got it May 1st. I applied for it on April 5th.
That's not bad. No.
That's not too bad. Yeah. And then, but part of the EIDL thing is there's another thing called the Payroll Protection Program, which is basically sounds sort of similar to what they're doing in Canada. It's they exhausted the funds and then they reappropriated new funds. It's crazy, like $350 billion or whatever it was. And so basically what it is it's depending on the size of your business, you can get a loan, which 75% of it, if you dedicate to payroll, and then 25% of it, if you dedicate to overhead, then, the structure of the loan can be forgivable. And then if not, it's, I think you're basically paying like 1% over like 30 years or 3.75% or something. Yeah. So it's crazy. I mean, there's been a lot of stories down here, of course, where a lot of small businesses, a lot of large businesses have been receiving, funding, and a lot of small businesses haven't. There's certainly going to be a lot of collateral damage down here, because in terms of the reopening, I mean, of course, it's starting to happen now. I mean, you can get restaurants, even with social distancing, they're still operating on 100% overhead, and their clientele is coming in at like 20%. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like the hard costs are just still there.
And there's a psychology behind it too. People just will not want to go back to restaurants for a while, right? They're just because they don't want to risk it. So, man, it's tricky. But dude, I am like Cody and I are so happy for you that you managed to withstand everything you have in your life, and we're so happy most of all for your health and Rochelle's health.
Yeah, that's
it's truly a blessing. And like you said, like if you guys can withstand that, the emotional toll that's put on you as a couple and on your business, and you've managed, you can beat anything, man. So I love your attitude.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Adam. Yeah, great to chat with you once again. And thanks for your time more than anything. I'm really excited to see everything that you're doing and all you're accomplishing with the poster list. So go to theposterlist.com, order some shirts, order some posters. Make sure that you go there. And if you are a business owner, an entrepreneur that is looking to grow your business in the online space, love to have you inside the StudioPTBO Marketing Hacks group. We're actually live inside of the StudioPTBO Marketing Hacks. And we go live every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard to essentially just give free contextualized business advice and marketing advice on how you can essentially take your business, reposition in the online space. Thank you, Adam, once again for being on the podcast again, second time.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Make it a third time eventually. And Neil, hope you're doing well. You're holding up the fort at the studio. And thank you for tuning in to Studio PTBO podcast. We will see you soon.